Hello, farmers. This is Success in Farming TV. I'm your host, Dr. Joseph Deji-Folutile. I will be doing the part 3 of the areas to look at when there is a drop in egg production. Areas to look at when there's a drop in egg production. I've taken part 1 and 2, which you should go back and look at again and again. Anything you can learn about egg production if you are in commercial laying facility is worth it. You need to go over them because the reason why you are keeping those birds is to lay and to lay very well. In these days, if you are doing less than 80% productivity, you are not doing well. So you want to look at areas where you can correct so that you can have optimal production on your farm. I'm going to be looking at part 3 of this very interesting study. We want to look at the extent of problem that may be in your farm. That is one area you want to look at. If you have problem in your farm, what is the extent of the problem in that farm? Is the problem localized in one part of the house, or is it throughout the house? This is what you need to make sure. And the problem, is it spreading from house to house or localized in one house? Or maybe whether the neighboring farms also have similar problems. So these are the areas you want to look at if you are suspecting that you have problems on the farm and you want to make sure that you correct them and allow your birds to lay optimally. So you want to look at the extent of the problem that may be going on in your farm. Is the problem localized in one part of the house if you have several pen, or is it throughout the house within the pen? Or is it spreading from house to house, or is it localized in one house? The more you're able to determine these areas, the better you will be in taking care of the problem you have on the farm. You can't be too precise when you are dealing with this. Remember, success in farming is 5% work and 95% science. So you have to have this science mind in approaching problems on your farm. Then you want to look at the area of flock history. Flock history. Whether you have the same flock previously that has similar or the same problem. That is where you want to look at your record keeping. Is going to be very vital. Anytime you are dealing with problems on a farm, you want to check your flock history. Do you have the same flock previously or that had the same problem or similar problem? You also want to know whether the weight when you are putting them into the house, assuming that you are looking at point of cage that has now progressed into laying, you want to look at the weight when you house them, whether it was correct. Because if you are 40 in weighing and you assume that this bird should be laying, whereas your problem was that you didn't weigh them very well, they were not at the required weight for them to lay optimally. Or you also want to look at whether the birds have peaked in terms of productivity as expected. You know, between 24 to 44 weeks, they are very critical in the life of a laying bird. You want to look at a day at peak as expected, and if they are not, you want to find out why is it not like that. And you want to look at the consumption of feed in the past. these are part of the reason why you need to keep accurate records. This is what I normally tell farmers as the law of tracking. You want to track everything. If you want to make it in farming business, you have to obey the law of tracking. You track everything. Track your feed, track the birds, track the weight, track everything. This will help you to be able to discover areas where you need to solve problems and get the best from your birds. And also you want to know whether the beaking was done at the right time, or maybe it was not done very well. You want to also look at this area. You can't leave any stone unturned, because once you're able to do that, not only that you'll be able to correct what you are going through now, but you'll be able to prevent similar problems in the future. So debaking is a very important practice. Nowadays, people do it early enough so that you can have a kind of a permanency, and also you can quickly arrest any problem that may come when you do it later, when the birds are about 6 weeks. I think the current practice now is about 4 to 6 days. Somebody was telling us in the conference I attended several months back, or several weeks back, that the experts, the vets, recommended that she should depict the birds a day old. There are arguments and counter-arguments against that, but I know that 4 to 6 days will be more like it. And then you also want to look at the area of poultry hair. This is very vital. If your birds are not healthy, they cannot lay optimally. So you want to look at your biosecurity measures. Is it in place? Is it being practiced? There's a difference between planning it and executing the plan. Most of the farms we have today in Nigeria, they are very good at planning the biosecurity, but they are very poor in executing it, because anything you cannot do consistently cannot help you on the farm. Biosecurity should be done 100%. It's something you need to do every day. It will be a culture in your farm. I've not seen this in many farms I've been observed with. People do it for some time and then they stop, or the areas where they need to really watch out for, people are not doing that because they don't have the deep picture. That's why it's good for the workers, the attendants, and the other workers in the farm to know the reason why this biosecurity is very, very important. And the more you're able to enlighten them about the benefit of biosecurity, the better for your farm. Then you want to look at parasites. Are there parasites? You have worms. What is your deworming program? These are the things you want to look at from time to time. If your birds are loaded with worms, sorry, it will affect their laying pattern. A school of thought recommend that you deworm monthly if the birds are on deep litter. Deworm your birds monthly if your birds are on deep litter, and every 3 to 4 months if the birds are in cages. That is a very good advice. If you are keeping deep litter, monthly is advised. Of course, you know why. Deep litter is prone to a lot of casualties in terms of birds being infected with diseases or picking up things that can predispose them to worm accumulation, infestation. So you want to make sure that you prevent this by doing regular deworming. And last but not least, I still have about 2. You want to look at the area of management problem. If you're talking about management, we're talking about the human capital now. Is your manager or supervisor qualified for the poultry operation? It is very important. Somebody was asking me to help him recruit workers recently and was asking that he can only afford to get farm attendants. And the question is that, will he also be available as the supervisor or manager? If he's not there and expect the attendant to work the work of the farm manager or supervisor, it's going to be a problem because these guys are not skilled. The attendants are not skillful people. They are people that are maybe illiterate that you just get to do the physical work on the farm. If you now turn them into managing your farm, they might make a lot of mistakes. So you have to make sure that at least for your level, make sure that you have qualified personnel. You can have this OND, HND, and if your farm is big enough to employ full-fledged graduates, I'm talking about HND or B Agric, or people that are in those categories, fine. But if you're not able to get that, at least look for OND. Don't look for attendants as farm supervisor. They're going to mess up your farm. So what is the level of teamwork among your poultry workers? It's very important. Like I said, farming don't succeed, or farmers don't succeed, people do. And the way for you to get the success in your farm is to encourage teamwork. People have to work in a team. They have to work together to make sure that what they are doing together to ensure the success of the farm. So managerial problem or management problem may be something you want to look at when you have decrease in egg production. And then last but not the least, you want to look at very important area, pilfering. Is pilfering probable source of egg loss? Are people stealing your eggs? That's an area you want to look at critically. If they are stealing your eggs, no matter what you do, you can't solve the problem unless you are able to detect that aspect. I remember a story that a farmer told me that he was suspecting that there are problems on the farm. He was not producing enough eggs, and he had done everything he could do, and see the problem was not solved. So he tried to also control the area of pilfering. He couldn't solve it. Something was just wrong. Then one day decided to move around the farm. And as he was going around the farm, he discovered a hole under a fence. So, and in short, what those guys will do is that they will go to that place, during the farming operation, they go and push some eggs there. And then when they close, after they've been searched and they leave the farm, they will not go back at the back of the fence and collect eggs from the hole they dig under the fence. And this guy was able to solve the problem. Pilfering is a major problem in farming, especially in Nigeria. Check your security lapses on the farm. Very important. Everybody should be security. You may employ people who are in security, but the farm manager, I always tell them in my farm manager training that because the farm manager should be the eyes of the farm. Because if there are problems, the farmer will not say, oh, I have security. He's going to also rope with him. So you have to be very vigilant. Of course, you want to make sure you are keeping your sound record so that you can be able to know whether you are stealing your eggs or not. In short, make sure you are involved in all farming operations. There's nothing like a MD, farm manager, or supervisor in farm operations. All have to be involved just like ordinary staff on the farm. It's a very important information you need to know for you to work against pilfering or any other problems in your farm that could lead to decrease in egg production. It has to be holistic. You have to work together as a team. Everybody has to be on deck to know that the reason why we are doing this farming operation is for us to get optimal egg production. And that is how we are going to pay salaries. That's how we are going to expand the farm. That is how we are going to also pay the investor. This is Success in Farming TV. I'm your host, Dr. Joseph Deji-Folutile. This is concluding areas to look at when there is reduction in egg production on your farm. I want you to go over the video again, part 1, part 2, part 3, and go over it again and again for you to take knowledge and apply it to your farming business. Remember to subscribe to this channel to get more updates, and remember to like the video and also share the video to fellow farmers. When we succeed together, that is true success. Bye for now.